Here in the Korea Nationals for StarCraft 2 here at WECG, otherwise known as WECG. We're in our final match here. It's a rematch of Protoss versus Protoss, Stats versus YongHwa. And this is going to be the match that decides which one of these two Protoss players is going on to the round of 8 and which one is going home empty-handed.
Yep, these guys faced each other in the second match we had today. YongHwa was able to take a 2-0, looking very solid in his PvP. I really favored him in his PvP against Sora once again, but he went down to Sora. Sora getting out of this group 4-0. And so YongHwa comes back down here to face Stats, who's able to get out of that loser's match against Cure. And we have them facing off once again. Who would you pick if you had to pick one guy?
That's really tough. I kind of want to give the edge to Stats because he was playing a bit off earlier, and you know, YongHwa just kind of crushed him there. But he seems to be back in you know, in a normal place, more on his, I guess, back to where he would normally be, where you would expect Stats to be playing back on his own level. Yeah. Because we just didn't really see the stats that you would expect to see in the previous PvP. Now, I was watching Choya actually talk to YongHwa during the game. I was looking at him because he's sitting kind of right in front of us. And I could see he was getting frustrated when it looked like Cure might actually end up making it to the final round. And I asked him, you know, was YongHwa wanting to play another PvP or does he want to play a PvT? And he said, well, of course, a PvP. You already won this match earlier. And he feels really good, especially against the style that Stats plays in PvP. So that's what he told me in that quick little break. So,
wow. Very insightful. I mean, it really speaks to the fact that he was able to take down Stats 2-0. It really seemed like he had his number, and that's the kind of feeling you get when a guy knows how to play against that style so well. So it definitely does make sense. And if I had to pick one guy, I'd probably pick YongHwa, actually. I don't know if it's going to be as one-sided, as quick as the first matchup was, but I would go with YongHwa here.
If I had to pick, actually, I would say this is like a kind of a cop-out answer, but I would say the player who wins the game one will take the series, actually. I feel like that's just how it's going to be. Mentally, for these two players going into this, they're both stressed out. They both kind of had a rough PvP series earlier. Different opponents, I guess, but not so much for Stats, I guess. The same opponent he had a rough PvP series against, but Sora crushed YongHwa himself in PvP, so they both lost kind of a quick 2-0. So that's going to mess with their head a little bit. And I think whoever gets the first win is going to get that mental edge. I think we're definitely not going to see a third game either. I think it's actually going to go 2-0 one way or the other.
I would agree with that as well. Well, actually, now that I say that, I'm not sure. Because if Stats takes the first game, I don't know. I definitely favor YongHwa here. So I would say maybe it goes to that game 3, but only if Stats wins the first game. If YongHwa wins game number 1, I think Stats is going to crumble like a crumb cake.
Well, let's take a look, too, in a moment at our picks and bans, because that's going to also give us a little bit more insight as to what these maps are going to be.
You know what? I would not be surprised if we see KSS, Overgrowth, and Merry-Go-Round once again.
You know, I wonder if Stats might change it up. I think if one of these two changes up the bans, it's going to be Stats.
Let's take a look. Well,
nope.
I guess not. No, we have the same 4 bands here and even the same order as the last 3 sets. Kane Station Station, Overgrowth, and Merry-Go-Round are our 3 sets in that order.
Oh, this is actually giving us a lot of really interesting data. We're going to be taking a look at this, at least I am going to be taking a very close look at this over the next few weeks to see if we actually have, you know, this lineup almost every time, because it's just, to me, that says, in every matchup anyways, especially, that pros are saying in Korea that these are the best 3 maps to play on right now, by far. Like, it's not like they're kind of better than the other maps. It's a 100% ban on all 4 of those maps. We're going into our 5th best of 3, 5 for 5, all 4 maps, 100% ban rate. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely a very strange stat to have when you have 7 maps to get that kind of 100% rate. But I'm really curious to see what we're going to have in the following days. You know, like you said, see how this goes along.
Yeah, sure. We got some Zergs coming in a little bit later, too.
Yeah.
We got 2 Zergs playing in 2 different groups coming up later. So that's something to keep in mind as well, because Deadwing, I feel like, is a map that certain Zergs might be okay playing on their play style.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if that Protoss group has like the same maps as we have today, you know, just KSS, Overgrowth, and Merry-Go-Round, because they want to play on the smaller maps. You know, they just like these maps better.
Keep it simple, keep the variance down in PvP.
Yeah. Keep it simple, stupid. It's kind of
KSS.
Close to KSS, yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So with these 3 maps in mind, the only thing I could predict is the winner of KSS is going to take a 2-0. That's like my prediction, actually.
So KSS is a big map.
Big map.
First map here. One thing I do not want to see is YongHwa proxying a Stargate, because Sora was watching that map. If he was watching that map, he's going to be like, okay, I got to make sure I scout that because, you know, YongHwa has a tendency to possibly proxy a Stargate against me. So I got to send my Mothership Core over there. And if he does the same thing in the same location, I'd just be so frustrated because I just want to see him play the same kind of style that he did in the first time against Stats. Just play solid.
That's something I would expect to see as well. Trying to think of like anything else, any sort of other analysis we can give going into this series, because I think one of these players might just have some sort of equipment issue. They're trying to fix something.
Yeah, we saw a guy running with the computer into Stats' booth, so.
Yeah, so perhaps. He's like, yeah, I won the last series, but there were a bunch of problems. I need a new computer. I need to get set up. I mean, I did do perfectly well against him in that final game. I did really good micro and stuff, but I mean, like, there was a problem. You guys had to get this fixed.
You know, maybe closing out of the game, some pop-ups popped up, and he's like, no, I can't have this.
We've had a few hardware issues recently in Korea. We had the debacle with Innovation's mouse in that TVT series versus Cure. A bit uncomfortable, you know, when you don't get your own mouse to play with. Thankfully, the SKT coach was able to send somebody running from the SKT house to get him a new mouse, make sure everything was fine.
Yeah. And, of course, the most memorable one for me, in terms of issues in general, maybe not technical ones, but physical ones, where the booth collapsed on Gumiho. I'm like, I'm never going to forget that. We're just in the middle of a game, and all of a sudden his camera, like, goes totally wild as stuff falls on his head. And he still plays and he wins the game against Zest, I think it was, on Habitation Station.
Yes.
And that was at a time when Zest was like so powerful.
Not as powerful as he is now, but he was like rising to power.
Yeah.
That was around the time he became a champion, though. Something he cannot say about himself this season of the GSL.
Oh.
So people are leaving Stats' booth. I think everything is okay. We talked about this series quite a bit. We broke it down. The Protoss and Frost we're about to watch here. Really feel like, you know, the momentum goes to the player who wins the first set on Sejong. It's a pretty straight-up map. There's nothing really tricky about it. You can proxy here, but otherwise the map is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of counterattack potential if you mess something up in the early game, as we've already seen. And I feel like whoever wins this is going to have the confidence to win the second game as well. That's my personal feelings about this, Brennan.
Huge set here. The winner of this goes on to the next round, and that just gets you one step closer from going to a very big tournament in China. And both of these players want to do exactly that. And I feel like both of them definitely have a chance to possibly make it there to the finals.
Well, guys, it's time. Stats versus YongHwa. King Sejong Station. This is the round of 16. Group B, the World Esports Championship Games for StarCraft 2. This is the Korea Nationals. The best team we've ever had in StarCraft 2 for international tournaments with representatives. Let's find out who's going on to the round of 8.
Oh, boy! He's going to do it. He's going to proxy.
Now, YongHwa is known for doing proxies and cheeses in big, important PvPs. We've seen him even cannon rush on Frost, that 4-player map we used to have in the pool. I'm so glad that's gone. But he would cannon rush even on that map. He does proxy a lot in big series, especially in game 1s of series.
Oh, man. This is such a greedy proxy, too. He's going right behind the minerals here.
Yeah, and this makes me feel like this is going to be a 2-gate for sure. Sometimes you see the Stalker proxy and the probe cut type of build on at this location where you proxy, but normally if you're going to do that, you make it to the bottom left, like where Classic proxied against State in that famous PvP on this map.
Yeah. Well, here we go. What is he going to put down his gate? Go forward, and he's leaving.
Oh, he leaves.
Yeah.
So it is going to be, at the very start of things, just probably a Mothership Core type pressure build.
Yeah. Just a forward gate here. Just wants to put on that pressure, chrono boost out some units when your opponent isn't really focusing on getting those units out because he doesn't know about your proxy. And it's just a bit of an aggressive build. It's not super all-in, but Of course, things definitely can go wrong. If you lose your gateway, you'll definitely be behind. So how far does Stat scout with this probe? That is the question here.
I think he's going to go all the way. Stakes are too high.
Yeah.
Sees it. Sees it's only one. Verifies that it's only one. Knows there's no probe nearby, so nothing else getting built here. It's going to be a fast Chrono Zealot. He will, in response, Chrono his own Zealot. Scouting this isn't the end of the world for YongHwa. It's just going to make it a little bit easier for Stats to defend because he can use his own Chrono Boost defensively.
That is true. There's that Chrono Boost finally getting out here. We saw that YongHwa had some of his Chrono Boost banked. That is another advantage you can get with this. When your opponent doesn't know, he's going to be using his Chrono Boost, of course, on probes.
Yeah. So he saves that, gets it ready. He's setting up his Zealots. Second Zealot's going to go out here. The core isn't actually that further ahead for YongHwa, so he's not going to be able to like rush a Stalker with this.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually behind.
Yep, slightly. Okay, second Zealot isn't out yet. This is the moment where YongHwa can try to maximize his damage while it's 2v1. Start picking off some probes, but here comes that second Zealot, and probes on the defense here are going to be able to help out, do some extra damage.
Yep, nice micro here by Stats. Doesn't lose a thing. Now the Zealots are just running around. This Stalker is going to pop out here soon for Stats, and they're going to be equal 2-2 in Zealots and 1-1 in Stalkers. So Stats going to be totally fine.
He's going to have the high ground with that Stalker, and he's also going to have probes to defend. So I don't think he's going to be able to push any further here. He has to keep making Stalkers, of course, from his forward gateway, though, because if he doesn't do that, then he's going to lose his gate. Eventually, he's just going to lose control of this area. So he has to keep making that Stalker. Keep building out here.
With the probe coming across the map, you think he's just going to try to bully his way up the ramp?
Maybe.
Possibly get a pylon up there? Is he going to proxy something else? I mean, it's in a weird place at that third base.
All right, this is where we're going to find out who's the better player in Micro. Some good Zealot hits for Stats going to help him out here. He's definitely going to win this fight, especially because he's got that Mothership core here as well. And there you have it, man. He just single-handedly dominates that fight. He just had the better Micro than the Mothership core. Makes it look easy.
Probe down there is making another pylon.
Yeah, and he's got 2 gates going up at home, and Warp Gate Research was chronoed once. He's going to lose this gate, or he's going to lose its power anyways. Gets the Stalker at least.
Nicely done.
That's pretty handy. I don't want to cancel that. He's not going to be able to repower that gateway until he gets control of the low ground. In fact, I don't think he ever will, since he's going to lose it before that happens. Warp Gate Research is done. He adds a 3rd new gate back at home. I don't think this is going to work, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, 3 gates coming up here for Stats. He's got Blink on the way as well. And that was just another pylon to come from behind. And now he's got 5 Stalkers here. He's going to pick off one of Stats, but he loses one of his own to Zealots. But nice micro. He's going to go straight after the Stalkers. Gets another one. And now can skite against the Zealots.
He just went too far out there. He didn't know what was happening. He took a risk and went really far out there. He lost a lot of units. And this is great for YongHwa. This is his opportunity. He's not out of it yet, though, because he needs to warp in as many units as possible. He needs to really get that damage done. He needs to bait that Nexus Cannon out like right away. He needs to start forcing that out right now. And look at how patient Stats is here. He's just waiting till the last second to use it.
Yeah, even letting 2 of his probes die. There it is.
And he knows his Blink is going to finish before that Nexus Cannon is done. And then he's going to have the better unit composition.
He's going to have 4 gates as well.
The one thing he's down on is probes, but he's changing that. I mean, he's catching that up pretty quick.
Yeah, make them one at a time. Blink about to finish here as well as that 4th gate.
He's in such a good position here. YongHwa is going to have to pull off a miracle in order to make this work. Look at this, even trying to fight, trying to bait those units into the Nexus Cannon, and he's got Blink. Does actually kill one of the Stalkers, though.
Ooh, nice counter pylons over there. And sending 2 Zealots is going to be really annoying for YongHwa. He's going to have to warp in stuff at home. Going to take away from the attack.
Yeah.
But does Stats want to warp in just yet? Doesn't look like it.
All right, YongHwa with a better count in Stalkers, but there's Blink on the map. That's why he has to use these probes. He's getting a little bit of extra damage on with those probes. He needs more warp-ins, though. You know what? YongHwa might actually be able to fight his way through this. Really good micro here. Oh, the probes are doing so much extra damage, and that Blink is coming through for him, and he misclicks. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, misclicks, and he's losing a lot of his Stalkers. He does warp in 2 more, but the Blink is still up here for Stats, and he's going to be able to chase after this. And it's not looking good for YongHwa from here on out with
Certainly
blinking
not.
against no Blink.
And there's the first first win here in this final series. YongHwa's last stalker falls. Warping points, like you said earlier, across the map from the Warping Zealots at. He sees it even. And based on how we've been watching today's game so far, I don't think he will leave the game right away.
Yeah.
But he could.
Well, he's already got that sentry.
Now, that sentry's saying, I'm trying to hold on here. If he gets high ground vision with any unit for a second, doesn't matter. He's going to be able to blink up there. Force field here, pretty nicely placed, actually, so that he can, you know, if he's like, oh, you want to go up the ramp, you're going to have to fight me. But
well, he forces out the force field, and unless Youngwa wants to make another sentry, which he doesn't, he's not going to be able to hold this one. It's like 2 stalkers to 8 that are making its way across the map with blink, trying to trade decently while he's got the advantage. But
yeah, he's got less units right now until these units arrive. He's just trying to pick off those shields so he can just crush him.
GG.
GG. Stats takes that first win. Proxy gets scouted. Follow-up, you know, it was not a bad idea. It's a pretty, you know, it's one of those follow-ups where if your opponent makes a mistake, like Stats almost went way too far out with his units, you can actually win the game. But having Blink and that Nexus Cannon, and then the 4th gate and all those probes, he was in a great spot to defend that. It was really close, though, actually, in that first moment when he moved in, when the Nexus Cannon was down. Even with Blink, YongHwa was almost able to get enough damage done. Yeah,
it was really close. Just smart decisions out of Stats, you know, besides the one where he moved out a little bit too far. Again, just making good trades, only fighting when he had the trades. When he knew he was behind, he used some probes to fight against the no-blink stalkers that were more in his base. And YongHwa, I didn't expect this kind of proxy play out of him. I wanted him to just go for, you know, standard strats, but here we go. He goes for it, it gets stopped, and now he's down 0-1, 1 game away from getting eliminated.
Overgrowth, another 2-player map, back-to-back here. We're not going into that 3rd map just yet. This is tense, man. I liken Stats' chances here, just from a confidence standpoint. He was looking so shaken earlier, and he's just risen right up to the top. Looking very good against Cure. Now taking this first win against YongHwa and the PvP best of 3 in the final match. I feel like that first win is so important. All right, guys, Overgrowth could be our final map. Let's jump into it right now.
Up here on the top, right in the red, Protoss player is up 1-0. It's Stats.
Looking really confident now. And his opponent down to the bottom left in blue, former IM, current MVP. It's YongHwa. So?
Another 2-player map, but no proxies this time.
Indeed. Pylons in the main. Now, YongHwa already at least taking a little bit more conservative stance in this game. You said earlier, I don't want to see him proxy. Didn't want to see him proxy. You talked about the Stargate specifically. We saw a gateway instead. It wasn't really what ended up being his demise so much as the gate, but he lost control of that, which did hurt him a lot with his follow-up. And, you know, basically after that, everything went as well for him as it could have. He caught Stats' units out of position, and he was able to get that forward pylon on the high ground really early. But he just didn't have the follow-up, and the blink was just too much. A blink stalker is almost like worth a stalker and a half, essentially, in a situation like this. So,
and even with good micro, you can make it almost 2 stalkers. Keep it alive for so long, it does so much damage. I feel like if YongHwa was going to go for that proxy, like, why not just do it a little bit farther away? It makes it so much easier to control that gateway. You're going to hold back your first zealot as well. It makes it harder for Stats to scout. Maybe he doesn't scout all the way down towards the bottom of his 3rd base, and maybe YongHwa gets a little bit of a better proxy there.
Yeah. So, let's see how they open gas-wise, like how much mining we see. A little bit faster of gas mining going on here for Stats, about 48. So 12 trips or so. We'll count that all up a little bit faster. So let's see how this mineral mining goes for him. Okay, so he is going to actually get that 2nd gate. So he decides to intentionally keep his probes out of gas just to get that extra minerals and get that 2nd gate up.
Yeah.
Talking about proxy locations for Stargates here, the Korean commentators.
Yeah. That was always a place I thought about, you know, in pro games, but I never really saw anyone do it. I know I've done it myself, but especially on this map, but we never really saw it, and that was like the first time actually I've seen it in a while. And Stargate is out, and that's a quick one.
That is a very quick one. It's a rushed Stargate.
Yeah, was able to get that mothership core out, which is good for, you know, warding off that probe. And actually, YongHwa is not going to know about this.
Yeah, he has no idea. What are you feeling? Are you feeling Oracles or Phoenixes here?
I'd say Phoenixes.
I think so too. Oracle's possible, but I don't feel like that's really Stats' style too much. He likes to just control the game with his Stargate. Oracle and PvP gives you backstab potential, but not control.
I'd say like almost every other Protoss, maybe Oracles. Well, as I say that.
I mean, there's still a high chance he was going to go Oracles, but
yeah,
I expected Stats to go Phoenix here. But the thing about going Oracle 2 in PvP when you're playing blind, because he really doesn't know too much about what's going on at this point. You know, he hasn't seen any tech. If you go blind and your opponent goes Phoenixes and you go Oracle, then you oftentimes just lose the game. So this hurts. Taking some early shots there.
Retains control of that watchtower is YongHwa. Sneaky probe is making his way into the natural.
Oh, yep. And he's not going to get to block the Nexus, but he will see it. And he may actually be able to see the 2 sentries. That would be a great scout, because he could just maybe go and kill those right off the bat here. Because the Stalkers of YongHwa are actually out of position. They're very far aggressive. They're actually walking into the main base right now, where there's nothing to defend, except that Nexus cannon.
Yeah.
Does finally get that up. Okay, let's see. Will he try to go for the sentries? Nexus cannon is going to board him away pretty quickly.
Immediate Nexus cannon, and he just flies out the other end.
He may lose that. So close. One more shot would have done it. Yeah, it's when there's a Nexus cannon, you can draw up. It's another reason why I just feel sometimes Phoenix is the better choice when you're trying to rush Stargate tech like this. Okay, big warp in over here. And he's actually bringing his Mothership core with this attack. Just walks right past the Nexus.
He wants to cut off some of these Stalkers.
Yeah.
They're out on the map, and he knows that if he can cut some of them off, he's going to have a huge attack.
And he's got high ground vision. He doesn't know because of the Nexus did not get vision of those Stalkers. What a sneaky move here.
Oh, the block as well.
Body block, and those Stalkers going to get 2 of them for free. And look at that. YongHwa just stops microing. He knows this is maybe even the end of his game here. Has to cancel the Nexus. And no, he can't get up that ramp, but
not yet. Not yet for sure.
Well, he could bring the Oracle over, and he has some potential with that. That's really annoying.
Yeah.
That's huge. With that pylon, we're not there.
It really is. The obvious follow-up here is, okay, you're going to stay in your base. I make my own Nexus, get ahead that way. But the pylon, oh, man. Very nicely done. That probe's just going to take a long time to kill that. Okay. Make some units.
Could bring the Oracle over and do put some serious hurt on those sentries with that high ground vision. He's coming over now. Here he comes. Here he comes. Putting on that cannon.
Well, the Stalkers are here too, but they're not really in position. All right,
reveals them, but that gives the high ground vision on those. You need to keep them back.
It still doesn't really seem that's like Stats wants to go for any.
No, he's definitely not
going to.
He's not going to try to break the ramp, but he could definitely do some harassment, do some poking, and threaten with these units.
Yeah, War Prism out here for YongHwa on its way, as well as Blink. Those are 2 separate ways you can try to break down your ramp.
Did the Oracle die? Well, I don't see it on the minimap anymore. Could be back there behind the pylon, though. It's really tough to move out, break out of your base when you're contained like this. Okay, no, he sent it way back across the map. Because, you know, your opponent's going to have a concave down there. He's got his own sentry, so if you try to walk down, you're going to have a problem. Could try to lift his way down.
Well, brings 1 sentry into the War Prism.
Yeah, and drops it back out again, as far as I can tell, right? Yeah. Okay. Sees the Warp Prism coming across. Blink is coming up here for YongHwa, but Stats already has the answer in his first Immortal coming out. And that's a pretty common thing you see players do to break out. I'm not sure what he was really thinking about using the Warp Prism for. He might have been thinking, maybe I can elevate her out, but looks like now he's going to be focusing on harassment with that. And Phoenix instantly queued because he's got that Stargate tech. He already saw the Warp Prism. He knows which direction it's going. And if you don't have any anti-air units with that Warp Prism, Phoenix will just eventually kill it because it's faster and it shoots air.
Yep. More Immortals on the way here. We see the answer here for YongHwa. He's trying to get his upgrades out here, but the Forge is not too far behind for stats. Warp Prism is found. It's not going to do anything. Eventually, he's going to go down 20 shots.
If he like tried to warp in Stalkers in phase mode, then perhaps other Stalkers and stats come and just kill your Stalkers and a Warp Prism. So might as well just cut your losses and send the Warp Prism home, at least attempt to. That hurts.
Delay the Phoenix, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix is, you know, gas spent to kill a Warp Prism, and he didn't. It's 200 minerals versus 150, 100. So I guess you could say that it was more expensive to kill that Warp Prism than anything that he lost. But it's just nice that he has this Phoenix now that stops the threat of Warp Prism harass later.
Yeah.
And even
takes
Oracle's
away
another
chance of losing anything later.
Yeah. All right, so I don't think he should have engaged into this high ground location, especially because
yeah, but YongHwa's actually going down. He's got 3 sentries here. He's going into line of sight.
Oh, he's going right into this and walks the sentry right in to die. This Immortal is getting some really good shots, though. The force fields are definitely better for YongHwa in this engagement.
Yeah, it was all about those force fields right there. You see the army supply of stats is actually way up, but stats not confident to take that fight once getting behind a little bit with those force fields.
And he also knows his opponent has Blink, which is, you know, just going to turn the tide of battle very quickly. If you start to win a fight with Blink, when the fight is over, there's no retreat for the player who doesn't have Blink.
Very true.
So Oracle's still floating around.
Charge immediately started.
Yeah, that is true as well. He's getting that charge up. This is the Oracle's trying to check for more, you know, potential Warp Prism drops, third bases. If you can keep that alive beyond the damage it does in the early game, it's just such a valuable unit. YongHwa is getting ready for a big attack here, it looks like. Let's find out if this is wise or not. He has that +1 advantage for a little bit longer. So a lot of Blink Stalkers, 3 Immortals here. He's just going to start engaging this. I just don't think he can actually take the fight. Yeah. He can definitely pick some units off.
That is one thing he can do, but this pylon could definitely go down. Uh-oh. That one Immortal getting a little bit low. YongHwa leaving his own Immortal back at home for defense, as well as a bunch of sentries and a Stalker.
All scouted, of course, by that Oracle. I like this move, actually, to move the Stalkers out there. It makes it look like more threatening, more aggressive. It also makes it so that stats can't really take a third base at that exact moment. And he might be playing really defensive and scared me like, oh god, he's really trying to kill me with just Blink Stalkers. I gotta sit back and do nothing and, you know, just get some more Immortals up Turtle a little bit more. It's not ideal, obviously, when you're at the almost 15-minute mark with Blink Stalker comp. But if you have other things that you're working on back home, like having the faster upgrades and still making your own Immortals, this sort of thing can give you a lot of value. Look at this Phoenix placement. He wants to know exactly when the Stalkers are coming back.
Really smart. Especially as he's making his third base, or trying to at least get that up. Delaying it for now because he saw the Stalkers coming out here. These 2 Stalkers are getting a little bit ahead of themselves.
That's that line of sight blocker rule, man. Never go in there if you're not sure.
Yeah.
Small pickoffs here and there for YongHwa. He's trying to edge his way back into this game.
Yeah. Look at the gas right now for stats. 1,050.
When he has that Temple Archive completed, he can make so many Archons.
Yeah.
And I think he's actually banking on attacking this +2 and the Archons. He's got this Warp Prism coming through. This could be the game-deciding move here. A few more pylons going up at home because he's going to do a big attack. He needs all the free supply he can get. Starts at third base, too. Maybe he doesn't attack here. He checks to see if there's a third base or not. He says, okay, you still don't have one. Not going to attack. Let's see what he decides to do here.
There's going to be 4 Archons. He just made 5, and now he just made 3 more. So 4 Archons in this mix as well. That is so much.
And he's going to be able to step on force fields. He's got a few Immortals, 4 of them, 16 Stalkers. He's got a fake Archon up here at the front. A lot of range damage in those Stalkers, but they don't have a lot of room to work with here. That's the problem with this matchup. More Zealots being warped in here. A nice time warp by Stats. Does he have enough? His Immortals at the back aren't all completely able to fire, but his Archons are doing a lot of damage to the Zealots.
Yeah, they really are, but a lot of Immortals in the back here for Stats doing a ton of damage. Archons in the front now, finally getting to the top. Nice blink on the high ground here by YongHwa.
But he gets that Oracle over there for high ground vision, and this is the big problem here.
That he does, and it looks like the huge amount of Immortals and Archons coming through here, and a big warp and his Zealots in the back here. 4 Stats will be able to do it here. Trying to fight with his probes is YongHwa, but it just doesn't look like he's able to bring this one to a victory.
Definitely not. Even that Phoenix is going to kill that other Warp Prism. GG! Stats. He does it.
Yep.
Takes that 2-0.
Stats and Sora are going to be our 2 players moving on to the next round. I know you Terran players are sad probably, as well as you YongHwa fans. Look at that. He is crushed.
He crushed Stats in the previous PvP that they played. He made it look easy. Yeah. And then this time it was more the opposite. I feel like the second series is a much closer series. But still, the PvPs we've seen today have been no late game PvPs, no real third bases getting involved. We've been seeing a lot of really quick, fast-paced, action-oriented games with counterattacks and just very aggressive timing attacks.
Yeah. Today was a fun day. I'm looking forward to doing more and more of this. And you guys should tell your friends about this qualifier. This is very important for all the players here in Korea trying to go to China and go to this big WECG tournament.
Yeah, it's a really big tournament. It's really important for Korean players, one of the tournaments that Korean players like the most and really enjoy. So, spread the word. If you're a big fan of Korean esports, as I'm sure all of you are, you guys are like the most hardcore of the hardcore watching this qualifier. But definitely spread the word and get out there and tell people about this tournament because it's going to be every week. It's a really fun tournament, a lot of really good players, and some high-level PvP we're going to be seeing. And looks like in Korea the PvP meta is shifting to be a bit more aggressive right now, at least in this group.
And tomorrow we have Parting playing.
That we do.
Parting, another guy really big for WECG, or rather WCG, I should say.
Yeah, big, as in Parting big boy. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, Parting big boy.
So we got a lot of really good players. You might actually get another shot of those groups. But before that, we'll take a look at our results for today. Sora and Stats are both advanced into the round of 8. And we had really good performance by Cure today, but just not enough. Would not want to be him right now, man. Losing in the round of 4 by 1 game off of being in the GSL Finals, and then falling out in the losers match in the last place here in the round of 16 of WECG.
Yeah, look, it's a really hard place for Cure right now. YongHwa as well. He was pretty close, man. He went to the winners match, and from there falling to both Sora and Stats in 2 PvPs. The matchup he's confident in, he still wasn't able to pull it through, especially even when he beat Stats before. It's got to be so crushing for him as well.
Yeah. Well, it's that's going to be at the end of our first day here. It's been a pretty fun one, I have to say, pretty fast-paced. Hoping we get to see a bit of a closer group tomorrow because today was all but one series being 2-0s. Just a lot of I don't want to say big favorites, but just maybe some confidence issues. Stats definitely had a rough time starting things out, but he does get through. And it's really important for these players like Sora and Stats who don't really play in the GSL during this downtime, because the last season the GSL is about to end, so there's a lot of downtime for these players. This is where they want to play and perform.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, tomorrow we have another day of this every Monday and Tuesday. Keep that in your mind. We're going to have Parting versus Dark in a PvZ there in our first matchup, and then Byung versus Hack in a TVT.
So we're seeing a lot more TVTs in Korea recently, and we get to see Dark play yet another ZVP. He's an amazing ZVP player. Parting, who doesn't love Parting? If you don't love Parting, you need to learn to love Parting, because this guy is a really fun player to watch, really great personality. His personality is the same as his play. He was one of those players in Korea you could really see his personality in his play itself, and that's what I really like about him. Byung, somebody who was on top of the world as far as Terrans go for a while, until he really got overshadowed by Maru, in his rival TY, I guess, a little bit. And now Cure is coming up and doing really well. But I'm excited to see how Byung is going to perform in this tournament.
Yeah, me too. Definitely.
So, guys, I think that is going to do it for today. Be sure to spread the word about this tournament. Tell everybody that it's happening every Monday and Tuesday, 6 p.m. Korean Standard Time. If you don't know what time that is for you, keep in mind it's 9:20 right now, so 3 hours and 20 minutes before now. Wherever you are, that's when the tournament will be starting in your time zone. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.